What's up guys, already posted the deal video today, but this is a little bonus to cap off the year highlighting all of the great shoes that I ran in 2023. So I was looking at my Strava here and I ran 3,598 miles this year. So today I'm gonna take you through all of the shoes that I used to accomplish that 3,598 mark. So alright guys, before we get into it today, if you haven't checked out the Running Shoe Matcher tool yet, go to runningshoematcher.com. So this is a really cool tool I built that matches you with the best shoe for you based on your goals and preferences. So you can go in there, answer 5 questions about what type of shoe you're looking for, whether you want a daily trainer, a race day shoe, or a tempo shoe, whether you like your shoes soft or firm, and we'll match you with the best shoe for you. So it's live right now and it's free. You can check it out at runningshoematcher.com and I'll put a link in the description below. Alright, let's get into it. Alright guys, so these are all the shoes right here. You can see, so down there at that end, those are the shoes I was running in at the beginning of the year. Those on the rack, that's my current rotation. Those in front of the rack, that's what I was running in the summer and fall. And then down here, we have a few of the new guys. So let's start over here with the Tracksmith Eliot runner. So the Eliot runner was the first shoe I actually ever did anything on YouTube with. I did an unboxing video when this first came out. I was super excited when Tracksmith announced that they were making a shoe because I love the styling of this brand. I love what they stand for. I did wish that they made their shoes in America and made their clothes in America, but I understand America doesn't have a great manufacturing capability anymore. Anyway, this is a pretty solid shoe. It's really similar in ride to something like the Pegasus, which I'll get to in a second, but it does have a PEBA foam, so you can see on this insole here, maybe you can't see, but yeah, you can see on this insole here, it's this beautiful Tracksmith in gold lettering. That is a super critical Pebax insole. And then what we have around here is a standard PEBA foam. So it's a little bit firmer than PEBA that you'd get in a Vaporfly or a Saucony Endorphin Pro 3, but it has a decent amount of energy return and snap. I loved this for everyday miles, for running in the stroller. And as you can see, I've used it a ton just for casual use around town. Really good looking shoe. I actually have another pair of these brand new at $200. It's a bit of a pricier shoe than a lot of other daily trainers out there, but if you are going to use it for everyday use as well, justifies that a little bit more. Next up here, we have the Cloudmonster. So this is a shoe that I first got in July 2022 when it dropped, when I was training for the 2022 Charlotte Marathon. So I used this as a daily trainer, as a recovery shoe, as a long run shoe. You can see I beat the heck out of these pods back here. They're really sad. And if you look at this outsole, actually let's look at the outsole. The other one, you can see I completely wore through it. Yeah. It's in pretty rough shape here. So I put a ton of miles on the shoe, probably 250, 300 miles. It's retired to everyday use, playing with the kids' use now, but a nice comfortable daily trainer that can handle some pace pickup, but definitely not a speed oriented shoe. Alright guys, next up here we have the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3. Now in total I've put 500 or 600 miles across 2 different pairs of these. It's a really fun shoe to run in, really easy shoe to run in. It just rolls you along. I use this pair here for a lot of long runs at the beginning of this year. Some unstructured workouts and I was just trying to pick up the pace a little bit. Nothing too crazy, but put a ton of mileage on this. I think these are sitting at around 310 miles. And I think my last run in these was a torrential downpour on the Cape when I was dog sick but needed to meet my long run goal of doing 16 long runs for 16 weeks straight. So this was a workhorse plated trainer for me. Was a little bit too soft for how I like to run. In the forefoot here, the foam would bottom out a little bit sometimes at the end of long runs, but across 2 pairs of these with 600 miles, got to give a big shout out to the Speed 3 for helping me hit some serious mileage. Alright guys, next up we have the Cloudstratus 2. Now On is a brand that gets loved by some people, gets hated by some others, but it's just a really solid daily trainer style shoe. It is $180, so I understand why some people aren't willing to pay that price, but it's got a nice fun ride with the plastic speed board in the bottom here. It gets a little bit more pop and zing than a typical daily trainer, and with these pods you can feel some compression and rolling along, especially when paired with the rocker. So like the Speed 3, this is a shoe that I have 2 different pairs of, but probably 500 miles across 2 pairs. So shout out to this one for being a great workhorse in my stable. Alright guys, next up here is the Pegasus. What can I say about the Pegasus, man? This thing is just classic. Use it a ton for casual use. I use this as my travel shoe to the running event in Austin. I used it as a travel shoe in January when I went to Austin with my college friends. This is just a great all-around type of shoe. Didn't put too many miles on it, maybe 100 something miles on it during my fall half marathon training build. But just a nice reliable shoe that when you are in good shape is pretty fun and easy to run in for those everyday miles. Alright guys, next up here we have the Saucony Triumph 20, and this is the Run Shield edition, which is a waterproof upper. So I used this for a lot of my long runs last winter. It's very rainy in North Carolina. This is super bouncy, super cushioned. I liked it for those everyday miles, maybe even on the slower end, around 8 minutes per mile. But I did do some workouts in here and it could pick up the pace to that 630, 640-ish range. Really awesome foam. Saucony will be putting this foam in the Ride 17, so maybe I'll check that one out as a successor to this, but really awesome shoe that kept my legs feeling super protected after using it. Also, this was a Christmas gift from Charlie in 2022, so thank you, Charlie. Alright guys, next up we have the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3 here. If you've watched this channel at all in the past year, you know that I loved this shoe. This was my highest mileage shoe of 2023. And again, one for me that was super easy to run in because of this big rocker here. It does have a little bit of a firmer foam with this Saucony Power Run. It's a standard EVA, but with my foot strike, with my cadence, with my height and weight, 6'2", 160, it's a really nice shoe that could activate for me at faster paces and daily training paces. So very comfortable if you like a firm shoe. Great shoe for me, 350 miles on this guy. I had to retire it because it really chewed up the outsole here, but was an absolute savage for me throughout pretty much a year of use. Alright guys, next up we have the Adidas Adizero SL, highly underrated daily trainer. This thing is $35 for sale at REI right now. I think I got this guy for $55 or $60. This is a nice firmer, faster ride for everyday miles. I put a ton of wear on this over the summer. Used it for stroller runs, used it for everyday fast runs, used it for recovery runs, used it for long runs. Super versatile shoe that gives a pretty consistent ride. I will ding it a little bit for cold weather use because it is a standard EVA that's firmer. It's not great in the cold weather because it really firms up and gets kind of solid underfoot. But other than that, an awesome shoe that is a great value at $35. Put 200 plus miles on this pair right here and still has plenty of wear left. You can see this outsole is in pretty good shape. So I think I'll probably pull it out again in the spring or summer. Alright guys, next up we have the Brooks Hyperion Max. Now this is a shoe that I didn't get along with too well. If you look at the back here, you can see this heel cutout and it isn't really super friendly for heel strikers. It left my left calf feeling pretty beat up every time I used it. So I didn't pull for it too much, but it is a nice shoe to run in if you are a forefoot or midfoot striker. It's really fast. Every time I ran it, I was able to maintain a good pace and it felt like a fun shoe to run in, but it just didn't leave my calves in great shape. So I only put about 60 or 70 miles on this pair here. Alright guys, here we go. My favorite shoe of the year, the New Balance Rebel V3. This is another shoe that's super fun to run in. I use this for all of my workouts during the summer with my boy Cam down at the track. Did it for 800 repeats, 400 repeats, mile repeats, 2 mile repeats. This thing is an absolute beast. I love the way that this fuel cell foam feels. It's soft, it's bouncy, it's comfortable. It can do fast work well. I've even done recovery runs in this at a 10-minute pace. Really versatile shoe that's just an all-around good time to run in, and it really helped me build some leg strength in my lower legs because the stack on here isn't too beast. So this thing has about 200 something miles on it, a little bit of life left. I've started taking it to the gym a little bit and using it on the treadmill, so it's now going to be retired as my gym running shoe. Alright guys, next up here we got the Hoka Mach 5. Now another shoe that made it to the 300 mile club. And you can see the reason I retired this guy is because the outsole wear in the back here is just completely flat. Could probably get some more miles out of it. It felt pretty good every time I was running it the past few times, but just got some better things to run in now and there's no reason to risk injury, so this guy has been retired. So I first got this one in the Cape when we were on summer vacation visiting Jill, my mother-in-law, shout out Jill. This guy I used like a daily trainer, but every time I ran it, I ended up pushing it into that steady or marathon pace zone. It's just a shoe that encourages pace pickup because of the softer midsole foam. On the top here, you can see this ProFly Plus, and then this firmer rocker sensation on the bottom. It's just a nice shoe that pushes you up onto your toes. I also ran 2 of my fastest miles this year in the shoe. I wasn't going for 5K speed or mile speed really in 2023. I was more focused on half marathon training, but at some of those workouts with Cam in the fall, we were pushing some pretty fast mile repeats, and I hit 2 miles in the 5:20s in the shoe, which indicates that I can probably take a pretty good chunk off my 5K time if I train for it in 2024. Anyway, shout out Hoka Mach 5. Really looking forward to the Hoka Mach 6. Maybe we'll take that one to the 300 Club in 2024. Alright guys, next up here we have the Asics Gel-Nimbus 25. So this one is a shoe that I use pretty much throughout the entire year. I ran my last run in it just last week, little 4-mile cool down after running in the Alphafly 3s. This is a really comfortable, soft, cushioned shoe. However, it did feel a little bit too soft for me at times, especially up in the forefoot here. I kind of felt like I was bottoming out and just fighting against the foam sometimes when I was running it. However, if you like super soft shoes, this is a great choice. This Asics FF Blast foam here is super comfy, and I use this for a ton of slow recovery miles during my second half marathon build there when I was able to score that 1:19 half marathon PR. This one didn't quite make it to the 300 Club. I think it's sitting at around 280 miles, but the foam lost a little bit of life for me once it crossed 200, 220 miles, so it was a little bit of a challenge getting it up to that 250 even, and it's since been replaced by that 1080 sitting up there in the current rotation shelf. So thank you, Gel-Nimbus. I liked you, but I will not be getting the Gel-Nimbus 26. Sorry if you guys wanted me to test that. Alright guys, next up we have the Norda 001. Now this guy was my trail shoe. I used it for a 42-mile trail racing weekend out here in Charlotte. It was at Tuckfest at the Whitewater Center. There's a few trail 5Ks, a trail 10K, a trail half marathon. I raced them all. This was my shoe of choice for that. Really comfortable, planted, stable out there on the trails, but light enough to pick up the pace. And then most recently I did a 100-lap backyard ultra style race. It only totaled to about 17 miles, but I used this for that, and it ended up being 3,000 feet of elevation gain, and I set the course record wearing the shoe. So shout out to the Norda 001. You will be my trail racer as well going into 2024. All right guys, now for the shoes that I'm running in now. The Adidas Boston 12, this is my long run and workout machine. This thing has about 220, 230 miles on it. Nice fast shoe. It looks like it has a lot of cushion. It will be nice and soft for the plodding along. That is not what this shoe is for. This shoe is for pushing some serious pace during marathon training. It is on the firmer side, but I love how it feels, especially when running fast up on the forefoot. This one has a lot of life left. Definitely taking it to the 300 mile club, maybe taking it to the 400 mile club in 2024. Now this guy is the Nike Vomero 17. This is my current workhorse daily trainer. That's probably 150 miles on it. I use it for all of those everyday aerobic style runs, maybe even some recovery efforts. Taking it to Austin, took it to the running event, took it to New York City. Just an all-around running shoe that can do a little bit of everything. Has a nice soft top layer of foam here from the ZoomX, nice stable bottom layer of foam from the Cushlon, and it's a little bit of an elevated experience from that classic everyday running shoe. Just a little bit more comfortable and exciting than the Pegasus. And I always like having one shoe like this in my rotation. So this is another one that's definitely going to make it to the 300 mile club, potentially the 400 mile club. Alright guys, next up here we have the New Balance 1080 V13. So this thing is super soft, super cushioned. This was my favorite max cushion recovery shoe of 2023. I liked it a little bit better than that Gel-Nimbus there because this thing just provides a little bit more energy return, and the stack isn't as high and unwieldy as in that Gel-Nimbus 25. So this took the cake. The only downside is you can see back here the outsole has gotten pretty chewed up at only 200 miles. So it's not going to be the most durable shoe. I think they have gone with the softer rubber formulation in this thing to provide that softer underfoot feel. So you are going to get a little bit of trade-off between durability and comfort, but this is probably the most comfortable shoe that I have, running shoe or anything else, in my entire wardrobe. All right, now to the racing shoes. So Saucony Endorphin Pro 3, this has over 200 miles on it. Love it for fast long runs, and I raced the 2022 Charlotte Marathon in this guy. This is my top pick for recreational runners as a marathon racing shoe. Now this guy here is the Nike Vaporfly 3. This is the shoe that has my current half marathon PR of 1:19:28. I did a lot of training to get that, and this was the weapon of choice for strapping up on race day to help me hit that. Nice fast shoe, but I found that the forefoot here had maybe a little bit too much soft cushion for my liking, so I'm not sure if I'll race in this again, but it is a really solid choice. Still probably my favorite shoe for half marathons and marathons, even though it is getting a little bit softer in this Vaporfly 3 edition. All right, last racing shoe up here is the Takumi Sen 8. I raced a half marathon at the beginning of the year in this shoe. Came in at 1:24:41. This was a decent option for that. This is the opposite as the Vaporfly. It doesn't have too much cushion in here because it's designed as a 5K and 10K racer. But where I really loved the shoe was using it for workouts. Any pace that's 5K pace or faster, this is a really fun shoe for that. It has these energy rods in here that gives it a nice snappy ride. Also Continental rubber, which will give it a lot of traction, but it's not going to be the most durable shoe. You can see back here, even within 100 miles here, the foam has started to degrade, but that's not the point of the shoe. It's a nice, fast, snappy racer, and I think probably still the best, fast, lower plated training shoe on the market. All right guys, last year we have the 3 new guys. So this is SE Trainer V2, only about 30 miles on it. I used it today for my 20-mile long run. Initial thoughts are it's super fun to run in, nice and soft, and the plate gives it some snap for some marathon pace. I had about 6 miles of marathon pace in that run today, and this felt absolutely beautiful at those paces. So I'll wait for the full review on this guy in 2024. All right guys, next up is the Brooks Ghost Max. This was my Christmas present from Charlie. I put about 30 miles on this, not loving it too much. I'm gonna drop the full review soon, but I think it's gonna be relegated to dad shoe use, especially because this colorway is pretty sick. Don't at me for saying I think a Brooks shoe looks cool, but this is a nice, cool looking shoe that is pretty comfortable for walking, not my favorite for running, but I'll save that for the full review. Alright guys, finally we got the Alphafly 3 here. I've done a few good workouts in the shoe. So this is a fast, aggressive marathon racing shoe. Feels really good at 6:30 pace or faster for me. Not the most comfortable option. Just feels like a weapon on foot that makes me want to run as fast as possible. I put about 30 something miles on this pair, and I'm looking forward to getting some more miles on this pair in 2024. So all right guys, there you have it. Those are all the shoes I ran in 2023. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back tomorrow with another video.